Hello, ladies, gents, and stone golems in for a good time. Look, I would be lying if I said that I'm not ashamed of this meme, this meme thumbnail that I came up with. I actually went searching online to see if there was something similar to it after the fact, and indeed I found one that is like well, let's say a lot less effort was put into it, but somebody else had this idea. Unfortunately, I was feeling terribly original, but I saw somebody else did it like maybe 3 years ago, something silly like that. But anyway, here is the speed painter. It was not really, like I always say, it doesn't qualify for a speed paint. It doesn't. It took a good 5 hours because at some point in the middle, I was like, I went from let's crank this out because it's a funny meme, it's in my head and I want to do it. It's a cool idea for the thumbnail. It went from there for, you know what, I'm going to put some actual effort into, at the very least, the huntress herself. I want her to be better defined. And once all this line art is done, you'll see the point. I'll point it out. But this whole thing was, of course, a whole lot of fun. I'm going to flash on the screen right now. Right there. Whoop. It's there. Where this comes from. I've seen this image memed to oblivion on the internets. So, it just came to my head. I thought it was funny. All right. I have the mentality of a freaking 12-year-old. So what do you want from me? I love the low-hanging fruit of sexual references and funny, hilarious bottom of the barrel jokes, and that is what I do. A lot of effort went into the figure in the middle, perhaps more than was warranted. The stone golems, though, I tried to like bang them out as fast as possible, using the reference of just seeing a stone golem on a screenshot, and to make sure, where do all the weird limbs, that the separation of their stone limbs go. It's a bizarre physiology, so I definitely needed to look at it to know where the hell to put everything. And you'll see once all the composition of the back is done. Here's the spot where I was like, you know what? I'm going to put a little more effort. Normally I go with what you just saw, the line art that is very rough, and I just color that and just get done with that. But this time around, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the huntress line art actually nice and looking all well defined and stuff. And in that process, it was there was a little bit of trial and error, and not just trial and error, but the looking at the reference and altering things because I didn't get it right. I used something that I had not even considered before. It occurred to me while doing this. Let's use the mirror, because her helmet is so symmetrical. I was like, you know what? Let's use the mirror functionality of the mirror brush, the multi-brush, to be able to make a symmetrical helmet. So I don't have to be constantly worrying about, okay, I got to do it exactly on the other side. And it helps a lot for, frontal perspectives. Any kind of thing that is going to be very clear symmetry saves you basically 50% of the work. So it's very, very helpful. Of course, you want to go back and put a little bit of differences here and there, because otherwise it's going to look too similar and too symmetric, and that kind of shatters the illusion of it being trying to be approximated to a mimicry of life. And I think right here, you see me just not doing anything much. It's me looking at references like, okay, I need actually to look at reference so I can make things look the way they're supposed to look. Mostly it was for the colors, for the stone golems. I was like, how do you even, the colors of the stone golems, I don't want to get it wrong. So you got to look at, like, I never feel any kind of shame. Like, that's something that you really need to get over. And I think I've said this before, how looking at reference, it feels like it's a dirty trick or something. I was like, no. You need to look at reference because your brain doesn't really know these things without actually analyzing and studying reality, or in this case, another piece of art that somebody else came up with. Obviously, you can come up with your original stuff without reference, but still you want to, whatever you're trying to mimic, it just helps a lot to look at reference. Who knows what reference the artist of this little stone golem guy that I am using as reference there. Who knows what reference they use? Probably this, this is very simplistic, but maybe they looked at a mountain and tried to make sure that it resembled a mountainside. I don't know. You get the gist of what I'm saying. The coloring part, it was very, very straightforward. Nothing really, any kind of new technique or anything like that. The entire golem coloring was very straightforward, box standard. What I did do, something I hadn't done before, is like I lowered the opacity of the line art on the golems, and immediately it made it so much better. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but the line art of the golems went from cartoonish to, oh, this is actually just like a rendering of the figure. Here's me changing the bracelets of the hunters, because it's actually not just some strapped pads, it's something that wraps around her whole wrist. So it's important to get the figure correctly as you are willing to spend the time making it. Of course, some allowances can be made, but as accurate as possible. It just helps to convey the entire spirit of this is a thing that I am trying to recreate and not just something that I just made up. Struggling here with the gloves. You'll see me putting them on and then putting back off the entire coloring of it. It's just something that is not straightforward. Figuring out the highlights and the shadows on rubbery kind of material. It's difficult to conceptualize without actually looking at it. It turned out somewhat okay, I think. It's something I need to always remind myself while drawing these things. It's like nobody's really going to look closely at anything. They're just going to look at it from afar, and they're not going to zoom in into anything in particular unless I put a high resolution version and somebody's especially obsessive about looking at things. But for the most part, like, will anybody give a damn whether I got the lighting on that bracelet correctly or not? But the thing is, the opposite of that, the flip side is, you want to be improving all the time, and it's important towards your own sensibilities and your own improvement how correct you get things, and not so much worrying about will somebody notice this, if it means that you are internalizing something new or maybe learning to do something that you didn't know before. This one definitely falls more on the side of nobody will notice this, so maybe you shouldn't care so much. Like making the background of the little inside of the cape, the folds, and lighting the little folds in the back. Who cares about that? I should have just put it like a flat color and not wasted any time on that. But, I'm just obsessive that way. Probably most artisty types have that problem to some degree, getting bogged down in those details and just wanting to make it right just for the sake of their own sanity. The couch was kind of annoying. I didn't really have much of a reference for the couch. I think here I was looking at the picture of the lady in the middle of all those gentlemen, looking at the actual couch, and also, of course, pushing down the couch cushions, because the stone golem hands are probably extremely heavy. So I thought that was important to convey. Perhaps I should have exaggerated that a little bit more. And from here now, it's just doing the background. The background took a little bit longer than I wanted to. I just grabbed, I think it's just the title of Risk of Rain 2, grabbed the background of that and just slapped it on the back. And at the very end, I changed the color of that. But something I really liked doing here was the light coming from the stone golems, the eyeball thing that they have. It's the lighting that washes over the entirety of the scene. I really enjoyed that little bit. I thought that I added a disproportionate amount of quality to the drawing. The red light that comes from the eyes, and then it washes on the side of the stone golems and also on the huntress gloves and all that stuff. I couldn't tell you exactly what I'm doing. Oh, yeah. Something that I have been doing lately, because it felt like the huntress just did not stand out in front of the stone golems. I was like, I'm going to give her a slight outline. So that's exactly what I did. And I think it helped. It still feels, though, like she doesn't stand out too much. I feel maybe I should have darkened the background a little bit more so the huntress pops out. more than it does right here. Here I was figuring out what she's actually going to say, maybe a smiley face, but I settled on a heart because she's a willing participant of this entire endeavor, and she's just going to have a really, really good time with these stone golems as she riddles them with arrows and murders them, takes the treasure from their entrails. That's what's going to happen. Here's the color change in the final version of the background. Didn't bother to change the highlights on the outlines of the stone golems because it looked okay, so I was like, not gonna change it. This is looking pretty good. Anyway, hopefully you like this one. It took about 5.5 hours. I think I already said that. But a great time. A great time overall. There's something that has been consistent and why I keep doing it. Like, it's always a big time commitment, but I'm always having such a great time drawing these thumbnails. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I look forward to doing it. So let's see what comes up next. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, just watch the hunters having a great time with the stone golems.